Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a seriously fascinating journey into the very essence of our existence. We're looking at a foundational text from the SIN textbook board for Class 9, specifically Chapter 1, Introduction to Biology. So whether you're encountering this for the first time or you just want a crystal clear refresher, we're going to build our understanding from the tiniest, invisible building blocks of matter all the way up to the entire living planet.
Okay, let's dive into this. What is life? I mean, it's the central mystery that has driven scientists, philosophers, and thinkers for centuries. And this single question really serves as the absolute anchor for our entire explainer today. Basically, everything we discuss, every branch, every chemical reaction we cover, it all revolves around trying to answer, understand, and categorize exactly what life means.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Defining life in biology. 2. The branches of biology. 3. Biology and other sciences. 4. Quranic perspectives. And 5. Levels of organization.
Section 1. Defining life and biology.
Before we can put life under a microscope, we really have to look closely at our language. The word biology doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? It has deep roots in the Greek language. It combines bios, which simply means live or life, with logos, which means thought or reasoning. So when you put those together, biology quite literally means the thought, the reasoning, or the study of life. It's the natural science dedicated entirely to understanding living beings that differ in shape, size, and composition.
But here's the tricky part. The textbook points out, life itself can't actually be perfectly defined in just one simple sentence. Instead, biologists identify life by looking for a specific checklist of functions. Basically, if something digests, respires, shows metabolism, moves, grows, develops, excretes waste, displays irritability, which is just a fancy way of saying it responds to stimuli, and reproduces, well, then we classify it as living. So it's this really dynamic set of processes, not just a static state.
Section 2. The branches of biology.
Because life takes on so many wildly different forms, studying the whole shebang all at once is basically impossible. So the first major division is zoology. Just like biology, this comes from Greek roots, specifically zoon, meaning animals. So zoology deals specifically with the study of the animal kingdom. Whether it roars, flies, swims, or crawls, it falls straight under zoology.
Now contrast a massive animal with microbiology. This division deals entirely with the invisible world. It's the study of microscopic organisms, like bacteria, which we can only ever see with the help of a microscope. And between animals, microorganisms, and plants, which by the way is studied in botany, we get our three major divisions of life.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how incredibly specialized modern biology became in the 20th century. Advanced research meant we couldn't just stop at plants, animals, and microbes. Biology fractured into an absolute explosion of branches. We've got morphology looking at the outside form, anatomy looking at the inside, cell biology and histology zooming in on cells and tissues. Then there's physiology studying how bodies actually function, taxonomy grouping and naming things, all the way up to modern biotechnology manipulating genes and sociobiology observing how living organisms behave in societies. It's incredibly vast.
Section 3. Biology and other sciences.
You know, biology definitely doesn't exist in a vacuum. It constantly crosses over into other scientific fields. On one hand, we have biophysics. This is where we apply the laws and techniques of physics to explain the processes of life. For example, biologists will use radioactive isotopes to trace how different materials move within an organism, or they'll use sound waves and ultrasounds. Then, on the flip side, we have biomathematics or biometry. This is where the strict rules of math step in to help us collect, organize, and analyze the immense amount of data that living organisms produce during research.
Section 4. Quranic perspectives on life. Our source material from the SIN textbook board notes a fascinating parallel here regarding the origin of life. It features this excerpt. Allah has created every animal from water, from Surah Al-Nur, Ayah 45. The textbook points out that in modern biology, water is deeply linked to the concept of protoplasm, which is the physical basis of life inside our cells. The vital power of that protoplasm depends on the constant presence of water, which echoes the verse's statement on the origin of animals.
The source text also highlights this verse from Surah Al-Ra'd, noting that in the earth are neighboring tracts, which are watered with one water, and we have made some of them to excel others in fruit. The textbook uses this verse to reflect on biological observations regarding plant growth, development, and the incredible variation we see in nature.
even when plants share the exact same resources like water.
So the crucial point is Section 5, Levels of Biological Organization.
We are going to build the ultimate biological Russian nesting doll here, starting our zoom lens right at the absolute bottom, the atomic level. Before you can have life, you need matter. All matter is made up of elements, and those elements are composed of atoms. This is the pure, raw, chemical foundation of absolutely everything that will eventually become living.
When those atoms combine into molecules, and those molecules form complex structures, we step over the threshold of life to the cellular level. Every single living organism is made of cells. The fluid inside, that protoplasm we talked about, is where chemistry actually sparks into life. The cell is the fundamental physical and chemical basis of all living things.
But single cells often like to team up. When you get a group of similar cells working together to perform a similar function, you reach the tissue level. These cells are stacked and organized, building real structural complexity so they can handle bigger, tougher tasks together.
Let's move to and see how this builds. When different tissues combine together to perform one very specific, larger function, you get an organ. Just like respiratory lungs, this is a highly organized structure doing a very specialized job for a larger body.
When organs group together into organ systems, and those systems coordinate as a unified whole, we finally arrived at the organism level, a completely formed, living, breathing, multicellular being. We're back to our magnificent lion.
But biology doesn't stop at the individual. If we zoom out further, we hit the population level. This is when all the members of a single species live together in a specific habitat. So, a single lion becomes a pride of lions, interacting, breeding, and surviving together in the wild.
Zoom out one more time, and those populations begin to mix. This is the ecosystem level. It's not just the lions anymore, it's the lions, the zebras, the grass, and the non-living environment around them, all interacting in this massive, delicate web of life. And finally, we hit the macro climax. The highest level of organization is the biosphere. This represents the absolute entirety of the Earth where life exists. All those ecosystems, all the populations, all the organisms, right down to the atoms, contained on this one spinning blue marble.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true scope of what biology really is. It is the study of literally everything from the microscopic to the planetary scale. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question to ponder. From an invisible, lifeless atom all the way up to the beautifully complex living Earth, what level of life fascinates you the most? Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey. Keep asking questions and keep exploring the amazing world around you.